to be done. It can't be done by one person. It has to be done by a collective, by a consciousness that creates a wave, like Tesla did with his resonance experiments. It's interesting. I watched it on Mythbusters. Don't mean to give them a plug, but the guy had a 6-inch I-beam that you couldn't bend by driving a forklift over it, and he made it look like a rubber band going up and down 10 or 12 inches with a little tiny oscillator tuned to the resonant frequency of that beam.
Yeah. That's how it works.
Just a little bit of intention applied at exactly the right time in the golden mean, and you can move the universe.
What happens after 2012, 13, 14?
Good question. Are we going to go through this like Y2K and we get all built up for it and we go blazing through it and we go through solar cycle 24 and the Earth begins to cool again and we go back into this cycle and all this is nothing? That's quite possible. But we're looking at over 10,000 years of history and planning and study and record making to build up for this one day. We're not talking about a little date change like Y2K. In fact, that was rather anticlimactic for a lot of people. But this is different. We are seeing the signs in the planet. We're seeing the signs in the heavens, and they've been left for us by the ancients as though they went through it once before.
You know, Brooks, we've had, gosh, I can't tell you how many shows that we've done on 2012, but you bring a very different perspective to it. You're right. It's not doom and gloom coming from you.
It isn't. We've discovered something very positive and almost ascended to it, that we are not going to pass away. In fact, you and I, we never die. We are part of an immense intelligence that is ancient. And if we could just remember a little bit more, well, we might be bored with this life, but if we just remembered a little bit more, we'd understand what this mortal life is all about. It isn't about getting the most toys before you die.
So the book, The Arc of Millions of Years, where do you get it? How do you get it?
Well, there are two ways. Of course, you can go to Amazon and Barnes & Noble and you can buy it. But if you want to go to the website, arcofmillionsofyears.com, and you buy the book that way, between now and August 2nd, we will give you the audio versions of Volume 1 and Volume 2 for free. We'll send it to you. So you'll have all three books, and if you're not a great reader, don't worry about it. I read them for you.
Good for you. Brooks, let's go back now to the trip because we're going to take phone calls, and I want people to be able to call you about the Hollow Earth. And
absolutely.
Also the other areas of 2012 we've been talking about. Your book, then, you're ready to go. You're just not going to go until next year.
Well, there are only 4 expeditions that this boat makes. It makes 4 charter cruises a year. We're going to take the last charter cruise, or we're going to make a special one right after that. At the end of August, the North Arctic regions begin freezing at a rate of about 10,000 acres a day. And it's so rapid that you almost can't get out if you don't get out. Now, there are rumors that this winter the polar cap is not going to freeze again. That's pretty much nonsense. It opened for the first time, it's estimated, in 200,000 years in 2006. It refroze in 2007. An icebreaker couldn't even get through it in September. This year, it's believed it's going to be open again this summer. It might be the last year that we can make this expedition. This has never been done before, and it may never be done again.
Is this a dangerous trip for you?
It is. This ship is fully capable of making it. It is the only civilian ship on the planet that could make it. But when you're talking 12-story seas, 70-mile-an-hour winds below zero, and there's no rescue ship, there's nobody that can come and help you, then you have you are putting together a 100-man science team. Now, some of them are historians, some are filmmakers and record keepers, and we need these kinds of people as well. But you got to pick people that don't get seasick. How do you find that?
Yeah, exactly. We're going to take phone calls with you next, Brooks. When we come back, also, happy birthday to our friend Bad Boy at thenighthawkzone.com. Many, many more, my friend. We'll be back. And, of course, with Brooks Agnew, and the lines are steaming hot. We'll be back with your calls in a moment on Coast to Coast AM. Brooks, you're a believer in meditation, aren't you?
Yeah, I've been doing meditation since I was 18, but I learned I was doing it wrong. I tried transcendental meditation for a long time. Great for relaxing and getting a quiet mind. And then I took a class in Flower of Life meditation with Drunvalo Melchizedek and 2 advanced classes with Maureen St. Germain. And I learned a very, very fast way of getting into a meditative state. And they teach you a 17-breath method, and they hint at an 18th breath. I did the research, and I came up with the 18th breath, which we put into the book. And the reason we did this is, remember I was talking to you about the tetherball, listening for that ball to come around, listening for the universe to send you back the exact moment that you step through the door or make the next move on your dream. Takes a meditative state, because we live in a very noisy world, and sometimes we have very noisy minds, and people want a very practical, simple way to get into a meditative state without twisting their bodies up like a pretzel.
Interesting. Okay, let's go to the calls. They're starting to line up for you. Marianne in Florida, first-time caller. Hi, Marianne.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, hon.
Yes. I want to ask, when the pole shift, will the sun come up in the west?
It will definitely appear to come up in the west, because your compass will be reversed. There's also the idea that if we get a pole shift, that the core actually flips over. And if that happens, the momentum of the core, which is far more dense than the crust, stops the crust from rotating and reverses the rotation of the Earth. If that happens, the cataclysm that will occur would be indescribable.
Oh, I see.
All right, thanks, Marianne. Next up, east of the Rockies, Christopher in Kentucky. Hi, Christopher.
Hello, George, and hello, Brooks.
Hi, Christopher.
It's good speaking to you both. I had a question about you were talking about the black hole. That will it cause changes within our sun to cause the burst of solar flares to hit the Earth? Will it cause the change?
Yes. What will happen is, of course, it coincides with a solar maximum, a solar cycle 24. Mm-hmm. The Mayans believe that when the solar flare occurs, the sun will be on the opposite side of the Earth from the black hole. And what will happen is the black hole will attract the solar flare many tens of millions of miles further into space than it would normally, say, for a normal coronal mass ejection. The sun is 93 million miles away from Earth, and if it came 50 or 60 million miles into space towards Earth, the cosmic radiation in the upper atmosphere would be extremely intense. It would probably wipe out all of our satellites. And I don't know what I would do without a cell phone. Do you?
No, I wouldn't know what to do. But thank you for taking my question.
Thank you.
Next up, wildcard line, TJ.
Yeah, this is TJ from Tucson, Arizona.
Aha, go ahead, sir.
And my question is, I was always under the impression that the North Pole ice caps was floating in the Arctic Sea. And if there's a hole up there, wouldn't it be underwater? So how could you sail to a hole that's underwater?
Well, it would appear that way, but what happens is if the crust is thin, like it's expected to be, then the gravitational pull is going to be less where that crust is thin. So what happens is the ocean actually pulls away from that central area. Anciently, it was called an oceanic depression. The Russians many of the sailors we've talked to have claimed that they've sailed near it, but it's very difficult with Earth instruments, even GPS satellites, to detect. You'll need a precision gyroscope to be able to tell when you sail into it, because the curvature of this could spread over